Breaking news in the Middle East and now escalating fears of an all-out war in the region.
Now, as Prime Minister, I've made it clear time and again, Israel will never allow those who call for our annihilation.
June 13th, 2025, Israel has bombed Iran, sending shockwaves around the globe. But why? The answers aren't in today's headlines. They're in decades of complex history. Today, Iran's government does not recognize Israel's legitimacy as a state and has called for its destruction. It views Palestine as the sole legitimate government of the historic Palestinian territories. Israel considers Iran a threat to the Middle East's stability and has targeted Iranian assets in assassinations and airstrikes. This is long history short. The Israeli-Iran conflict, 70 years of tension, explained. Iran was once one of Israel's closest allies in the Middle East. Before 1979, Israel and Iran shared intelligence, technology, and strategic partnerships, and Iran was the second Muslim-majority country to recognize Israel as a sovereign state after Turkey. Everything changed dramatically with the Islamic Revolution, as Iran's new regime branded Israel the Little Satan, severing diplomatic ties and igniting decades of hostility. Iran severed diplomatic and commercial ties with Israel. Iran ceased to accept Israeli passports, and the holders of Iranian passports were banned from traveling to the occupied Palestine. Iran's strategic imperatives and war with Iraq compelled the Iranian government to maintain clandestine ties to Israel, while the hope that the periphery doctrine could be resurrected motivated the Jewish state's assistance to Iran. During the war, roughly 80% of the weaponry bought by Tehran immediately after the onset of the war originated in Israel, totaling over $500 million. Despite all the speeches of Iranian leaders and the denunciation of Israel at Friday prayers, there were never fewer than around 100 Israeli advisors and technicians in Iran at any time throughout the war, living in a carefully guarded and secluded camp just north of Tehran, where they remained even after the ceasefire. With the death of Ayatollah Khomeini, the leader of the Iranian Revolution, and the end of the First Gulf War, Iran began providing support for Islamist Shia Lebanese parties, helping to consolidate them into a single political and military organization, Hezbollah, and providing them with ideological indoctrination, military training, and equipment to attack Israeli targets. Israel, meanwhile, viewed Iran as the new existential threat, especially as Tehran's nuclear ambitions started to surface. The 2000s marked a turning point. Iran expanded its influence across Iraq and Syria, while Israel began conducting covert sabotage, especially against Iran's nuclear program. In 2009, a computer worm called Stuxnet, likely developed by Israel and the US, damaged Iran's nuclear centrifuges. It was cyber warfare, and it was just the beginning. The Syrian civil war gave Iran a direct route to Israel's borders. Tehran deployed thousands of IRGC forces and armed Hezbollah with advanced missiles. Israel responded with hundreds of airstrikes in Syria, targeting Iranian weapons convoys and command centers. Then in 2020, Iranian General Qasem Soleimani was assassinated by a US drone in Baghdad. While Israel didn't claim involvement, it welcomed the result. Tehran vowed revenge, not just on the US, but on Israel too. By the 2000s, things were no longer covert. Iran-backed militias in Iraq, Syria, and Yemen launched drones and missiles toward Israel. In response, Israel expanded its reach, hitting targets deeper into Syria and possibly even inside Iran. In 2024, Iran launched an unprecedented direct missile and drone attack on Israel, most intercepted by its Iron Dome and Arrow systems. Israel retaliated swiftly, striking deep into Iranian territory, including suspected nuclear sites. It was the first time the decades-long proxy war broke into near-open warfare. As of 2025, the world watches with bated breath. Talks are stalled. The threat of a full-scale regional war looms. Israel remains determined to prevent Iran from becoming a nuclear power. Iran continues to vow that Israel will fall. What began as ideological tension has evolved into one of the most dangerous rivalries of the modern age. And in the middle, millions of ordinary people living under the shadow of war. Today's headlines can feel sudden and shocking, but history shows us clearly. Conflicts like Israel and Iran don't appear overnight. They're decades in the making. Understanding this history is crucial, not just for clarity, but for peace, because knowing our past might help us prevent repeating it. Thanks for watching. For more clear, compelling history, subscribe to Long History Short, your shortcut to the whole story.